Hello, everybody. We're talking about fragrances for extroverts. So, if you're somebody that knows how to work the room, if you're the life of the party, these are the scents for you. We got unisex, masculine, and feminine, and there's going to be designer and niche fragrances. We're going to start with a feminine scent called Possessoir by BDK. And I don't have the bottle, I only tried the sample, but the bottle looks like this. And the fragrance smells like a combination to me of Mon Guerlain EDP and Olympia by Paco Rabanne. So it's both classy and fun at the same time. There's this sort of very youthful sophistication to the fragrance that screams confident woman to me. It smells like kind of like citrusy and fruity in the opening, and then it dries down with this really clean musk on my skin. Now, I haven't even looked at the notes of the fragrance. I'm just going off how it smelled on me, and it was really, really lovely. And I did get a few compliments when I wore that scent. Now, I'll put all the names of the fragrances and the discount site links in the description so that you don't have to pay full retail if you want to support the channel. So I appreciate that. The next fragrance I'm going to mention is a unisex scent called Naxos by Serjoff. And this is a Mafia boss fragrance. Oh gosh, it smells like tobacco and honey, but honestly, it's more dominant with the honey than the tobacco, which is why it smells smooth and rebellious at the same time. I really do love this fragrance on my skin. I get past 12 hours no problem. On clothes, it literally doesn't leave until I run it in the laundry. But this fragrance is eternal, lasts forever. The scent trail is amazing. The projection is amazing. It's just a really cool, dominant, smooth fragrance. Again, for the Mafia bosses, Naxos by Serjoff. The next one I'm going to mention is a new one I tried yesterday called Kajal Homme 2. Now, this one is marketed as a masculine fragrance, and it smells very fresh and fruity in the opening with some lemon, some bergamot, but then it dried down on my skin with peaches and cinnamon, which was very interesting. Now, there's also some musk and patchouli with this fragrance, and if you haven't smelled patchouli, it's kind of like this dirty, earthy sort of scent, but thankfully it's pulled back in this fragrance. I don't really smell it as much, but the rest, like the cinnamon and the peaches and the musk, I definitely get. If you've ever tried Désir Toxique by M. Micallef, similar, they're both similar, but just remove the cannabis note and then you'll have Kajal Homme 2. Now, this fragrance is also very versatile, very mass appealing, and if you're known to smell like this, like if this is your signature scent, I love it. This is a great fragrance to throw on. It works year round. I would maybe refrain from using it on days that are over 75 degrees because it can turn a little bit sweet with that peach, but anything lower than that, this is gonna smell fantastic. So Kajal Homme 2. The next fragrance I'm going to mention is a Layton by Parfums de Marly. And this scent it's risen in popularity in the fragrance community to a point where a lot of people are hating on it and calling it basic, but this shit is still so good. It smells like apple, and then there's also, I was gonna say cinnamon, not cinnamon, apple, cardamom, and vanilla. And this fragrance, what you have to remember is when the fragrance community, for the most part, when they're dogging on a fragrance, when a fragrance is popular to them, that does not mean it won't smell good to people around you. Because this shit, when you're wearing it out in the real world, is irresistible. The ladies' reactions I have gotten from this scent when I've worn it around people and had face-to-face conversations is insane. I was like, oh damn, people really love this, and I loved wearing it as well. So yes, it's mass appealing, but that doesn't mean it's a basic sort of fragrance. And for the most part, if you yourself go on the street and ask a random person if they've smelled Layton by Parfums de Marly, they're probably going to be like, what the hell is Parfums de Marly? Whereas if you ask somebody, hey, have you heard of that fragrance Chanel No. 5 or Bleu de Chanel? They'll be like, oh yeah, I always see that at Macy's. I see that at every mall. You know, this one is still a hidden gem in the real world. Emphasis on the real world, okay? But Layton lasts easily over 12 hours on skin, all right? Even on clothes, even longer. Kind of same deal with this one in Naxos. The next one I'm going to mention is another Parfums de Marly on the feminine side called Meliora, and that is the rich, auntie fragrance that owns a bunch of yachts. That smell to me is just luxurious, but really fun and happy-go-lucky at the same time. Now, even if you hear me say auntie, don't think that I only see it on 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds. It's definitely a fragrance that even if you're in your 20s, it's gonna smell amazing because it smells like champagne, red berries, and blackberries. A really, really, really fun type of fragrance. And another kind of situation I see it on is like if I smelled that on the maid of honor at a wedding, and it's kind of like, you know, that maid of honor that works the tables and everyone's like, oh, like the next day after everyone's kind of hungover, they're like, oh my God, remember, she was so fucking amazing. She was great. She was like the life of the party, all that sort of stuff. You know, the person that keeps it upbeat. And when you think back to those memories, you're like, remember this person? You know, they always come up. That is what Melior reminds me of. Just like the unforgettable type of person that you meet and you just reminisce about memories with. So that one is fantastic. The thing is, the longevity on that fragrance isn't the best. It's a freshie, so it's within the 5-6 hour mark, but you can definitely overspray it because it's not nauseating by any means. All right, the next one I'm gonna mention is Intense Cafe by Montal. Now this is a unisex fragrance, and some would argue that it leans a little bit more feminine. And I see that because rose dominates this fragrance, and there's also coffee in it as well. But to me, it smells like a sweet cup of coffee with fresh rose petals mixed in it, just like stirred in it. So don't think you're getting funeral home rose, mature type of rose. It's nothing like that. And this is pretty much kryptonite to the feminine nose. And I know that there are a lot of guys that are like, no, I would never wear rose. That's too girly, blah, blah, blah. They are missing out because the way that this juice smells on masculine skin, very different than how it smells on women. But I will say, every single time I've worn this and I've hugged a girl, their nose ends up being in my neck, just like deep sniffing, telling me how much they love the scent. They're like, oh my God, you smell so good. I love this. You know, they're just there. So if you like people all up in your business, telling you nonstop how much they love your fragrance, then this is the juice. It works on anybody. Intense Cafe by Montal. Another fragrance I'm gonna throw in is super popular, but I have to do it. Baccarat Rouge 540. There's a reason why this is the most popular niche fragrance on the market, because it has a very likable, sweet cotton candy DNA. Now, the scent trail for this is fantastic. It's definitely something that's somewhat hypnotizing when you smell it in the air. It definitely makes your head turn and you're like, oh, whoa, that smells good. Now, this is very unisex. It does lean a little bit feminine just because it's pretty sweet, but to be honest, anybody can wear this. I think I don't remember which NBA player rocks this as his signature scent, but I just know like he's pulling. Like this fragrance is also irresistible to the feminine nose. Even to the masculine nose. Like whoever wears this, it just smells really, really good. Yeah. Oh my God. Now this is a scent that I personally like to wear, but when I smell it on somebody, I'm like, oh man, they smell so good. Now the downside with this fragrance is the fact that there are so many clone houses that have tried to rip off the success of this scent by making their own dupes. So it's not as unique as it used to be. All right. So this might be a fragrance that you're going to be smelling a lot more in the clubs, at dinners, at parties and things like that, because people have heard about this and then it got really trendy on TikTok. So people are buying dupes of it. So if somebody asks you, oh, are you wearing like, you know, another name of the fragrance, like, well, I was going to say a dupe name of the fragrance, you're going to be like, what the hell? What? No, I'm wearing the original, you know? So I got love for the OG, but that's just the double-edged sword of it being so amazing. Next, Elysium by Raja Parfums. Not going to get too into this one because I talk about it all the time. It's a fresh pineapple fragrance that also kind of smells like a lemon cocktail, but this is definitely a life of the party fragrance. It's just that person that everybody is drawn to. Like they're not trying to be obnoxious and loud and get everybody's attention and you're like, fuck, that person's annoying. You're just like, oh yeah, like, you know, they talk to you and you're like, oh, like this person's really friendly, they're cool and very easy to get along with. So Elysium is just like a fun, just like suave type of fragrance. I love it so much, especially on hot days. Now, on the designer side, I'm going to talk about Mon Guerlain, EDP specifically. It's a lavender vanilla fragrance, and this one is like a Regal, sophisticated, classy scent that is just like, if you are somebody that wants to level up from wearing the fun, flirty, sexy type of fragrances, the youthful ones, and you're like, you know what, I want to take it to the next level. I want to wear something beautiful and one that people are just going to be like, oh my God, she smells amazing. You know what I mean? If you want to take it up to that level, then wear Mon Guerlain. This is a scent that people will be able to smell before you enter the room, and they're going to be like, oh, what is that? And they'll turn to the door, and then you walk in. You know, this fragrance has great projection within the first couple hours. The downside is that the performance overall goes around 6. So it's hard to even overspray this just because it's pretty intense in the opening and you might get a bit headachy. But shit, if you're just going to an event like a black tie sort of occasion or a wedding where you're only going to be there for like 6 hours or something, then it'll be on you the whole entire time. So it's still good. Mon Guerlain EDP. Now I do have to give some love to the Versace's, Versace Eros and Versace Eros Femme, Pour Femme. So the masculine and the feminine, they are known as obnoxious party fragrances. And you know how I use that example with Elysium, saying that, you know, it's not the one that's trying to get a lot of attention. To me, Versace Eros, it can go that way. It can just scream like obnoxious party goer, but in the best way possible. You know, it's kind of like a fragrance where when I smell it, it reminds me of things I did when I was younger, where I'm like, I'm glad I did that, but I would never do that right now. You know what I mean? It's just like when you reminisce about the good old days. Now, the masculine Versace Eros smells like mint, apple, and vanilla. And the feminine one on me kind of smelled like this sexy orange, and some vanilla also, which was very interesting. But both are great for warm weather, I would even say, even though they have that sweetness to them. But shit, if you're going to like a rager or something like that, those are the fragrances you want to wear, because you're definitely going to smell them in the air. They're going to be pumping, but they're still really sexy and they're youthful, you know? And the last one on the designer side, or overall, that I'm going to throw in is Spice Bomb Extreme by Viktor and Rolf. This is a fragrance that I have been stopped multiple times during conversations for somebody, the person I'm talking to tell me I smell amazing. Like, I'd be talking to like, hold on real quick, you smell real good. And then they'll lean in and then just like smell me like close to like my collar and then back away again and just continue the conversation. But this scent is welcoming, it's inviting, it's warm and sexy and spicy at the same time. So this has tobacco and vanilla. And there's also some caraway in this fragrance that will kind of provide that punch in the face when you first spray it, where you're like, oh, whoa, there's some spice to this. So of course, it's in the name, right? But the scent trail that this fragrance has really is intoxicating. And I find it to be more warm, and the closer you get to it, you're like, oh, fuck, that's sexy. Like, when I wear this, like, my girlfriend loves it when I wear this fragrance because it just drives her wild. It's just one of those scents that to the feminine nose is just like, it gets feral sort of reactions, you know, for all the right reasons. But, oh, Spice Bomb Extreme by Viktor and Rolf. Again, I'll leave all the names of the fragrances and the discount site links in the description. Thanks for all the love, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.